Hi guys, and welcome back to Movies That Matter with the Viking. And Zack Snyder reconfirmed last night which Robin died in his universe, and it was of course Dick Grayson. Now that has met with a lot of controversial opinions, and back in 2018 he also confirmed this because people wanted Jason Todd to be the dead Robin in this universe going off the comics. But look, this is Zack Snyder's vision, this is his world, this is his idea of the characters. The Robin that was killed off was Dick Grayson, obviously killed by the Joker. Now, Dick Grayson, whatever incarnation, would have been a son of Batman to some extent. He would have took up the mantle as Robin and then later became Nightwing. Okay, but he in Zack Snyder's universe was killed off. People wanted Jason Todd, of course, who Bruce Wayne in the comics adopted. He became the Robin. He died by the Joker, but he came back and became Red Hood. So there was an interesting story to be told that way also. But Zack Snyder went down the route that Dick Grayson was in fact the Robin that died. Now David Ayer in the past has said no, Jason Todd is the Robin that died. But that was a while back. Recently, of course, that we know that Jeff Johns tampered with his film a lot and rewrote a lot of scenes, in specifically Harley Quinn being the one who killed Robin, when actually that is false. It was the Joker, because I've already touched on this in videos. Harley Quinn wasn't even created by the time Robin died. So Zack Snyder reconfirmed this last night, that Dick Grayson is dead in the Snyderverse. So what did Zack say last night? Well, a fan asked Zack, did you mean to say Jason Todd when asked which Robin is dead? David Ayer said Jason was dead in Suicide Squad, which Zack Snyder replied, no, Dick Grayson. The fan also asked, did you have plans to dive deeper into the background of Dick's death in your future movies? Maybe JL, Justice League. And Zack goes, a hint in JL. So we would have got a hint of how Dick Grayson died to the hands of the Joker, or maybe a reference. Maybe Commissioner Gordon would have brought it up when they met. Maybe Bruce Wayne would have brought it up to Diana when they were making the League. Maybe in reference to the Flash being too young to bring into this or something like that. Maybe that had something to do with it. That would have been interesting to see. But there's a hint in Justice League. Maybe it's obvious. Maybe it's not too obvious. Maybe we have to go back 2 or 3 times to look and see what the hint is. But of course, we will find out something got to do with Dick Grayson in Justice League. Now, I want to take us back to 2018 when Zack Snyder first confirmed this. He was asked, was there a plan to bring back Richard after Flashpoint, or was Richard, Dick Grayson, always meant to stay dead? Curious, please see this question. This was in 2018, and Zack said, stay dead till Carrie. So he confirmed there that it was Dick Grayson who died. But people, of course, were in uproar and saying that that shouldn't be the case, it should be Jason Todd or whatever. But look specifically at what Zack Snyder said back in 2018. He said, stay dead till Carrie. Now, the question didn't involve Robin once, it involved Dick Grayson. And Zack says, stay dead till Carrie. Now, Carrie comes in and she is the Robin to Batman, and in animated films she has been kind of in the future with Batman as his Robin, and that has worked very well. And I actually find it interesting to see how a female Robin would work on the big screen. Of course, we've seen male ones before, but I think it'd be cool to see a female. But he says stay dead till Carrie. Now, is he referring to Dick Grayson the person, or Robin the character? Here I think he's referring to Dick Grayson. So was Dick Grayson going to be in some incarnation Zack Snyder's version of Jason Todd's Red Hood? Possibly. Now this is just my little theory of it. I think maybe he wouldn't have had the time, Zack Snyder, to explore this in his Justice League films. He wouldn't have been, because his films was a 5-story arc. Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and the 3 Justice League trilogies. His was never a Man of Steel trilogy, a Batman trilogy. It was never that. It was a Justice League. This Justice League arc that involved Batman, that involved Superman, that involved Wonder Woman, a 5-story arc that connected to some extent. So was Dick Grayson going to be Jason Todd, or was the Flash in some way, maybe the nightmare sequence comes into this, maybe him going back in time in Justice League, maybe him in Flashpoint, this would have brought back Dick Grayson to an extent, and maybe that's what Bruce Wayne would have wanted, because in the Flashpoint film, Bruce Wayne and Thomas Wayne come face to face. Bruce Wayne is Batman, Thomas Wayne is also Batman, and in another timeline, who's to say that Dick Grayson could have come back to an extent through time travel. I'm not saying come back to walking around day to day. Maybe Bruce would have seen him. Maybe it would have been a vision like he's seen Flash and going back and going into the future. That's a possibility. So that finds me that's very interesting to me that we could see Dick Grayson come back. Because we know the way that Bruce Wayne is in Batman vs Superman has a lot to do with the death of Robin, with the death of Dick Grayson. A lot of this anger has built up over time. Robin dying, his parents dying. Who else in this universe got to do with Batman has been killed off, or who has betrayed him? Harvey Dent probably. And then Superman comes and that just drives him over the edge, and he becomes this brutal Batman that we see that's marking criminals. So it would have been interesting to see what Zack Snyder's plans were with Dick Grayson, but also I'm sure this would have played a lot into Ben Affleck's Batman film, maybe his mentality, maybe him being haunted by the death of Dick Grayson at the hands of the Joker, what way it would have affected him going forward as Batman. And would he have wanted another Robin? Would he have wanted Carrie to come in and be Robin to him? Would he be able to trust or himself to have somebody fighting beside him? So a lot of interesting theories and things that could happen. Dick Grayson could be seen in a flashpoint scenario. He could come back through time travel, whatever, and being reset. He could be looked at in flashbacks. So these are all interesting, and I'm so excited to see what we're going to see. What's the hint in Zack Snyder's Justice League? But let's talk about people being angry that it's Dick Grayson and not Jason Todd. Look, Zack Snyder had a 5-story arc that was never planned to go any further. It was probably planned to be something like the Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, where everything was reset by Flash, and then there's a different timeline, and then it ends that way. So Zack never had a 15-20 year plan like, say, the MCU. But this is Zack Snyder's version of these characters and these stories. Not everything has to be comic book accurate. I'm not a big comic book reader, so this doesn't really faze me whatsoever. I don't mind that it's Dick Grayson or it's Jason Todd. I just want a good story to be told with these characters, and that's exactly what we were getting. Now, nobody complains when the MCU changes things. They changed Civil War. It wasn't as big as it was in the comics. They changed Ultron, Tony Stark making Ultron. They changed the Mandarin. They changed a little bit of the Infinity War story. So nobody cares when it's Marvel, but when it's DC, when it's Zack Snyder, everyone loses their minds. So look, I don't mind. 100%, I don't care if it's Dick Grayson, Jason Todd. I just want a good story to be told, and that's what we're going to get. Ben Affleck's coming back to some extent. Maybe we'll get more of a hint at that in Justice League of why and how Dick Grayson died and how it affected him. And maybe there was even more confirmation of the Dick Grayson, Joker, Bruce Wayne scenario in David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Maybe, I don't know if they shot a scene or not. Who knows? But maybe there was more references than what we got. And that would be pretty cool. And that would interconnect everything so well. You've got hints in Suicide Squad. You got hints in BVS. You got hints in Justice League that would have spinned off and be their own stories in maybe the Joker and Harley Quinn film. Maybe the Bruce Wayne, Batman, Ben Affleck film. So it's interesting. And I don't really care who died. I just want a good story. Robin is such an interesting character to have alongside Bruce Wayne, to have alongside Batman. And if it's Dick Grayson, if it's Jason Todd, if it's Carrie, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the story is told in such a good way. And I really want a Bat family on the big screen. I think we were going to get that. Of course, Chris McKay was going to make a Nightwing film. That was scrapped. Josh Whedon was going to make a Batgirl film. That was scrapped. Bruce Wayne, Batman himself, Ben Affleck was going to make his film. That was scrapped. But there's a possibility that could come back in HBO Max capacity. So it's an interesting time ahead. But we really need Zack Snyder's Justice League to be a success if we want to see these characters in future installments, if we want to see Ben Affleck come back. But I'll just finish with this. People, don't lose your minds. Don't get annoyed. Wait till you see the film. Wait until you see the context that this story was supposed to be told, that these characters were supposed to be told. All we're going off is stills, is little bits of information, little Easter eggs. That's all we're going off on right now. Wait until we actually see the film, because then we can gain a full opinion on this. Then we can argue of who was right, who was wrong, because just watch the damn film and see. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think of Zack Snyder's comments. Are you happy that's Dick Grayson? Do you want it to be Jason Todd? What do you think? What way will Dick Grayson be incorporated into the story in Justice League? In what way was he supposed to be incorporated in Ben Affleck's Batman? Let me know in the comments what you think of this. Also, like and subscribe, guys. Come follow me on social media. Let's talk about movies. Until next time, guys, stay positive.